Hello and welcome to the Patient Educators Update. My name is Chuck Jones. I'm with Synergy Broadcast, and I'm here to welcome our guest, Fran London. Hi, Fran.
Hi, Chuck.
Fran is the author of the book No Time to Teach, and it's the book that we use to create some of the topics that we talk about on the Patient Educators Update, which is designed to provide and talk about topics for patient educators who work in a clinical environment. And in our last episode, we started talking about self-efficacy, Fran. And one of the key things that we discussed is what it is. And if I may, I'll summarize from the last episode that you said self-efficacy is the learner's perception about his or her confidence to be able to perform particular actions necessary for their self-care, whether that be giving themselves an injection or remembering to take their meds or certain exercises or things of that nature. Did I summarize that?
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Now, any particular comments, anything you want to add from the last episode about self-efficacy?
Well, the key really is that it's essential that if the patient does not have a good sense of the ability to do something, there's no way he or she is going to be able to do it.
Yeah. And of course, if that doesn't happen, then depending on what's wrong with them, the odds are good that they won't do what they're supposed to do, and then they may bounce right back into the hospital, which is what you don't want.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, one of the one of the areas that came out of the discussion on self-efficacy is that there are 4 ways that the nurse educator can, or 4 things they can do to help increase or improve self-efficacy with the patient through education. And those 4 areas were skills mastery, modeling, reinterpretation of physiological skills, and social persuasion. And what we decided to do was break down each one of these 4 into a different episode. That helps us do a couple of things. Number 1, focus on a particular area. Number 2, keep the episode short so that we don't bore our audience to death. So in today's show, we want to talk about skills mastery. So with that, I would like for you to perhaps explain what is skills mastery, and maybe perhaps give an example or two, or kind of do a deep dive into what it is.
Okay. Basically, the key is that if a person has low self-efficacy about a skill, the key then is to help them figure out how to master that skill. And the best way to do that is to go step by step with small steps that can be succeeded at. Because a little bit of success helps the person feel a little bit more confident and can move forward learning the next step. And if you can piece the little steps together, then ultimately you can get them to succeed at doing the whole thing. And once they can succeed at it, they can start believing that it's possible.
Okay. Can you give us an example? Are we talking about somebody giving themselves an injection or changing a dressing or doing a particular breathing treatment?
Any of those things. Okay. It's basically whenever they balk and say, oh, no, I can't do that, you find out what it is that they're concerned about, why they think they can't do it, and then if it's basically looking too complex to them, like giving themselves an injection or a major dressing change, break it down into little steps, do the first step, and make the steps small enough so that they can succeed at it. So if it's giving themselves an injection, work for a while on just filling the syringe and having them succeed at filling the syringe. And then you move toward the next step, which is actually cleaning the site where you're going to give the shot. And if they can succeed at each one individually, you build them and you put them together, and then they can ultimately do the whole process.
Okay. Now, are these things that you make them practice on before they leave the hospital?
Oh, absolutely. You need to see them do the whole thing before they leave, and preferably 3 times if you have time to do that, so that they have time to succeed, to be confident that they can do it, to know that they can remember it, and then problem solve if there's a problem.
Okay. Now, let's assume that there's also a family caregiver that can either be involved or be there? Do they kind of go through the same process?
It's the same thing, because often caregivers are insecure about having to do something, especially if it's to someone they care about and they don't want to hurt them, or they don't want to. It can be very overwhelming for family members.
Okay. All right. So that is skills mastery. Any tips that you might have for nurses that that don't have experience with this?
Pay attention to how the patient, the learner, is responding.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see fear or anxiety, talk about it a little bit, help them feel comfortable knowing that that's normal, a normal response, and that we can move slowly towards the goal.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. So that's all about skills mastery. We will cover modeling in our next episode. In our effort to keep this short, I want to thank you for joining us today. Tell people where they can find you online.
Well, I'm at www.notimetoteach.com. That's my website and blog, and I'm also on Twitter at NoTimeToTeach.
Okay, cool. And if people are interested in learning about video on demand or video education for their hospital, they can find us at synergybroadcast.com. And I would also point out that Fran's book, No Time to Teach, is available for bulk purchase at a sizable discount if you visit her publisher, Pritchett & Hull, and their website is p-h.com. And you can visit them and get that if you're teaching, working with nurse educators in any way. It's a great book for practical, everyday tips on patient education. So, Fran, thanks very much. I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, Chuck. Bye.
Bye-bye.